I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody.
And once again, the royal mead goes sour, the atmosphere shifts, and the reputation of the royal family is on fire. Queen Camilla, the culprit this time, has allegedly been hunted down by mistakes from the past after a DNA test result done in secrecy stirs the pot and makes a royal mess. What happens to the Queen Consort's reputation now? And who exactly is Laura Lopes' real father? Join us as we discuss the ugly collapse of the Queen Consort's daughter, as the shocking DNA results unravel a 47-year-old plot. The Queen of Hearts. Queen Camilla's journey into the heart of the British royal setup has not been on the straightest path, with flower petals at her feet guiding her to the throne. Instead, it hinged on something more, something darker, where a bit of controversy weighs down on her even heavier than the crown that she so much coveted. But was the crown really her desire, or a simple consequence of her chase after the heart of another woman's man at the time? While Queen Elizabeth conquered land, set up some colonial rule, and ended some, Camilla conquered the hearts of men. She was a beautiful young woman who was used to getting what she wanted, and at the time, her wants and desires seemed to be intertwined with someone from the royal family at all times. At first, she met Prince Charles as a younger man when she was about 25 years old, the prime marriageable age in the 70s. At first glance, the whispers were that there was a spark, a bit of an ignition, that comes with two people, in love, just getting off conversations like they were age-old friends. According to People magazine, she looked at the prince and sassily said, "My great-grandmother was the mistress of your great-great-grandfather. I feel we have something in common." That little bit of confidence to speak to the heir, a parent of the United Kingdom, spiced with all the sass in the world, definitely struck a chord in him, as he had remained heads over heels about her ever since. Soon, the time came for the prince to perform his royal duties, which included service in the British Royal Navy, so he had to leave. And just like that, there was a distance between the lovers. Following her sweet prince's decision to leave the United Kingdom, she chased a new love story with Brigadier Andrew Parker Bowles, a man who used to serve in British intelligence. Suddenly, it appeared that she had forgotten all about the good old Charles, who was in the Navy, fighting for his dear old country. However, rumors persist that every time Charles went back to the United Kingdom, he paid her a visit as old friends or lovers, albeit without rekindling old flames. At least that was the narrative. However, Charles soon moved back to the United States, when Parker Bowles had already had two kids, Laura Lopes and Tom Parker Bowles. But upon Charles's return, the dominoes started to fall, and the possibilities once again were open-ended, even though Camilla was married. How did it all play out? The king, the queen, and the Dark Knight. Following Charles's return to the United Kingdom, he had impressed his mother, the queen at the time, with his service in the Navy. So he was immediately thrown into the deep end of endless royal duties. While life has it as a sink or swim for most people, giving them a chance at failure, it was swim or swim for Charles. Surely he could get someone he loved to share all of those moments with if he looked hard enough. Soon, he met Sarah Spencer, a beautiful woman whom he dated for a little while before he found the love of his life. Diana Spencer, Sarah's sister. Some would pay good money to see how he navigated that situation. While Camilla was married to her husband, Brigadier Andre Bowles, Charles was still on the hunt for the woman of his life while maintaining a reportedly platonic relationship with Camilla Shand, his first love, before leaving for the Royal Navy. However, with fate already pulling the Joker card in its little twisted euchre game, setting up Camilla for a marriage to one of the most respected men in the whole of the United Kingdom, and Charles now heading towards a marriage to Diana Spencer, who actually comes from noble birth, the little fairy tale love between Camilla and Charles seemed to have come to an end. But the final nail in the coffin was banged in on July 29th, 1981, when the wedding of the year took place between the future King and Queen of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth nations, with millions of people tuning in from around the world. The wedding was and still is a major topic in the British royal setup, where everyone remembers the last time the royal family felt some real bliss. And for once, the many squabbles in the royal court and differences in opinion were all put aside, and everyone celebrated like it was the first and was going to be the last of its kind, almost like the king and the queen had finally made their move. But there was one who lurked in the shadows, prepared, waiting for the right time to strike deep into the hearts of the king and queen once she had them within range, a dark night, Camilla. Oh, how long she had waited for her sweet, sweet prince, who had now chosen to not only date someone else but marry her. She wanted her prince back, even though he was married. Some called it greed, while others posited that the heart wants what it wants. Following her endless desire for Prince Charles and her remaining in the picture despite the fact that he was married, speculation started to make the rounds. Charles had dared to disrespect a national hero by lying with his wife. And he probably owned Laura Lopes, probably as a result of frequent platonic visits while he was in the army. But how does this little rumor rock both of their homes? Fallen pieces. Following the speculations around Prince Charles and Camilla Shand at the time, Princess Diana, a beautiful young woman who felt neglected in her own home, with the cold walls of Kensington being her only companion, decided to speak out about Prince Charles's infidelity and how much damage it had caused her and her little kids, the princes William and Harry. While infidelity was no stranger to the royal court, with the Tudor court coming to mind, it is still a very dangerous piece in the cog of a well-oiled machine. However, Prince Charles was unapologetic. He wasn't going to let his wife and kids stop him from finding the love of his life, and if that meant cheating in plain sight, he decided to play the hand that he was dealt. The speculations grew in leaps and bounds, with fear, mistrust, anger, and sadness dividing the crown. Camilla donned the tag of the other woman in the late 70s, when she had reportedly been cheating on her husband, Andrew Parker Bowles, who was reportedly also on a cheating spree at the time. However, Diana had no care in the world about why she was cheating on Andrew Parker Bowles. Her only problem was that it had to be with her beautiful prince and father to both of her kids. According to Diana, the relationship was crowded. There were 3 people in it, and in a marriage, 3 is most definitely a crowd, especially when there are intercepted telegrams where her husband allegedly says he wanted to live in her pants. Unable to deal with the crowded relationships, she decided to separate from Charles, who had obviously made his choice, and it was not her. While the situation remained sour between Diana and Charles, Camilla and Charles blossomed together and were completely at peace, rubbing their relationship in everyone's faces. The Queen had finally fallen at the whims of the Dark Knight. Camilla was adept at the Game of Thrones, and she won, using love, lust, and infidelity as her greatest weapons. Although she had only kicked Diana off the board to replace her as queen, garnering hate from the British citizens for upstaging the People's Princess, as she was formerly called, things went from bad to worse after Diana was declared dead from a car crash in Paris. Although she had fully gotten the prince to herself, the pressure of being in Diana's shoes, which she practically stole, had put her through serious scrutiny. The dominoes had started to fall, but they did not land like she expected them to. Instead, she gained more powerful enemies. Voices of opposition that she had never heard whispering to her before now screamed in her face, and slowly her crown of clay was starting to lose its sands. But who was the enemy within? A fight for control. It is almost no news that the most powerful woman in the royal setup, especially since the demise of Queen Elizabeth, is none other than Princess Anne, a wild equestrian who changed the landscape of female sports in the United Kingdom. showing support for female participation in whatever sport they were required to be part of. She was tagged by the late Queen as the hardest-working royal, mainly because of her attitude towards work and how much she traveled around the world to get her missions sorted, and never without complaints. However, since Camilla came into the picture, insiders have claimed that she and Camilla have always been on opposite sides, never getting along on important decisions, with Camilla trying to throw her weight around as a queen consort, while Princess Anne carried her office as the first ever Princess Royal and eldest daughter of the late Queen. Although sources have claimed that their greatest beef only comes alive when they are by themselves within the halls of Buckingham Palace, they are so quick to open up to a smile when the cameras are there, especially during the coronation of King Charles and Camilla as Queen Consort. Princess Anne came riding on a horse, displaying her equestrian skills and her ability to ride on a horse even at 73, pointing and controlling the huge stallion as a symbol of her strength and dominance in the royal setup. When she walked into the halls, she stood gallantly, donning a full regalia of her office. She wasn't just Princess Anne on the day, she was the Princess Royal, and she carried her government with her, fulfilling her responsibility during the coronation, smiling measuredly as opposed to her regular ear-to-ear. Insiders claim that Camilla looked at her with some jealousy, and a bit of ire could be detected in her demeanor. For Camilla, it was an annoying feat, but for the Princess Royal, it was mission accomplished, exerting dominance as the superior woman in the British royal setup. However, Camilla was glad to sit through the coronation despite the rumors that circulated around her and the paternity of her daughter. Although no one dared to say it to her face, especially now that she was about to become Queen Consort. While no one said it to her face, the walls at Buckingham Palace were not quiet about it, especially the maids, the children of top officials in the royal setup, and sometimes even the Kingsguard. The rumor was loud, but Camilla was too respected to be challenged, at least by most people except one, the frenemy within, Princess Anne. Although their tension never spilled over to the cameras, especially when they attended events together, there are insider rumors of serious friction between the two as they cannot stop being in each other's way. But how long has this been going on? And what makes Anne believe that the rumors about Laura's paternity might be true? All the way back. Many years before Camilla became a part of the royal setup, he lived as freely as a bird, born without the burden of a noble child. She could simply decide her own life without the sightless constraints found in children from a different walk of life, which has been known to bind their expression. She loved what and who she wanted without consequences and basically controlled her own destiny. This was not something very common in the royal family, where everything had to be taught, unlearned, and relearned. Optics was an important part of the royal family class and charm, and everyone had to learn to play the roles without denting the perfectly curated royal image. And that was the undoing of a love story that ended, but never really did. In their youth, Camilla and Anne had once crossed paths as they dated the same man, Brigadier Andre Parker Bowles, albeit not at the same time. Although the rumors of Princess Anne's relationship were very strong, there was almost no confirmation of their relationship in the media for a long time until the early 20th century, when biographers and researchers spilled the tea. And now, it is a popular concept. The jig is finally up, and some sense can now be put into why she and Camilla have remained in their silent war. According to the biographers, her relationship with Andrew Parker Bowles was one of the main events in the United Kingdom at the time, especially because Brigadier Andrew Parker Bowles used to serve in the royal forces. Hence, what better suitor for a man who served the crown all his life than the first daughter of the Queen? However, they simply weren't able to make it work, as there was a difference in their faith, and neither of them could give up religion for love. The Brigadier was a born Catholic, and he has never had to switch his faith for anyone at any moment in time. He was the type to live by his rules, and die by them. Although Princess Anne might not have been against a change in faith, she is of royal birth, where the monarchy is the supreme head of the Anglican Church. Hence, Anglicism wasn't just faith and religion to her. It was a culture, a birthright she could not shake off, no matter how much she wanted to. Having left the brigadier, she was replaced by Camilla. While the reasons for their breakup were explicitly stated, the pair remained friends, signifying that they had both moved on from their failed romantic relationship. However, news of the brigadier cheating on Camilla churned out rumors that he might have been doing so with an old flame whom he just couldn't let go of. While there were faint whispers of Princess Anne's name in these conversations, Camilla went on an adventure of her own that others described as a retaliation for Andrew Parker Bowles's sudden desire to cheat on her, especially with Anne's name coming up in the rumors. But what consequences does she have to contend with now? A checkmate. Too soon. With evidence of some bad blood between Camilla and Anne, it was only a matter of time before someone said something. Not only had Camilla replaced Anne when she married Brigadier Andrew Parker Bowles, but she had also come to replace Anne's close friend Diana in the royal setup. And at the point of the coronation in 2023, wearing that crown as Queen Consort, her race was done, and that was checkmate. She had won, or so she thought. But since her coronation, the atmosphere has shifted, and the palace has grown more conscious, especially now that a secret background check had to be performed as some sort of ritual in the process of coronation. Insiders in the palace have suggested one of the biggest foul plays in the history of the British royal court was at hand, and the walls of Buckingham were in danger of collapse. What could be looming so dark in the very heart of the royal family, threatening to unravel Camilla's years of hard work and perfectly created story? Is this the beginning of the end for her? Although the speculations have been within the royal court in the halls of Buckingham Palace, the monarch has craftily avoided the discussion, keeping his business personal, as it should be. He is king, after all. He is privy to holding on to top-class information. But that said, royal enthusiasts with information can never seem to keep their mouths from the ears of the public. And this time, Camilla's biggest secret was about to be unraveled. Imagine having to re-strategize after what seemed like the semblance of a checkmate. Rumors have it that the Queen Consort is in panic mode and sitting on a knife edge, hoping that the rumors remain rumors and no facts are presented to back them up, making them easily forgotten in the media. But what kind of secret could she be sitting on so deeply that it threatens to ruin her path? Is there a chance that King Charles played a part in the decision to keep this secret? There were so many questions and too few answers until now. Rumor has it that the subcommittee, which included Princess Anne as chairman, had allegedly found evidence of Camilla's infidelity while she was married to Brigadier Andrew Parker Bowles, with an indication that Camilla's daughter, Laura Lopes, might actually not have been Andrew Parker Bowles's daughter. It would seem that those platonic little visits that Prince Charles paid her when he still served in the Royal Navy had developed into a beautiful 47-year-old woman over the years. As expected, the committee had kept the secret for a long time, with Princess Anne's decision to keep it away for the time being. However, in recent times, she had finally made the decision to let it all out. How did Laura Lopes react to this secret? The hidden pawn. While Queen Camilla had been reveling in her victory behind closed doors, she might have said checkmate too quickly, as Princess Anne still had a pawn to flip and break the game wide open while forcing the king and the queen to take a step back. Laura Lopes, who had been raised in the shadows of Andrew Parker Bowles as her father and was the second child of the late veteran, was allegedly invited to be in this secret committee, which was allegedly chaired by Princess Anne, who was overseeing the proceedings. Insiders revealed that Laura had been reluctant to attend these secret meetings, but her fate had been tied to her mother's since she married into the sometimes unforgiving terrains of the British royal court. Hence, she did not have that much in terms of options. Following her appearance in the court, insiders claimed that she was welcomed with a surprising sight. Her mother, the Queen Consort, Camilla, was right there in the royal court with her. Seeing her mother in this supposedly secret meeting and other top brass of the British royal court standing in the same room as her gave her a flurry of emotions. Her cheeks flushed red with blush. Not knowing what to expect, she was overwhelmed with fear, an emotion she probably never felt too often. While her body language spoke volumes, the delicate silence in the halls left her vulnerable until a voice came from behind, saying, "Let us get this over with." Insiders claim that Princess Anne had made sure that King Charles was unaware of the meeting, meaning that there was almost no one in the room more powerful than she was, and no one could really stop her, even if they wanted to. On one hand, she had a piece of paper, light enough to fit in her frail hands, but heavy enough to shatter the silence, or even break a man, or woman in this case. But how did she get her hands on something so powerful? Insiders claim that just before the coronation in 2023, Princess Anne decided to chase an itch she had always had, and maybe finally scratch it and see what happens. Ergo, she decided to take the bull by the horns, secretly planning a DNA test that proves the paternity of Laura Lopes as King Charles' first child, a move that could throw Camilla out of the palace or have other damning consequences if proven true. According to palace insiders, she passes the DNA test results around the house with a little gasp, following suit from everyone who read it, while heightening the tension in the room, with Laura suffering the brunt of these reactions. She waited in silence, and her heart pounded so rhythmically like a drumbeat anyone could march to. That feeling was fear, a fear of the unknown. As soon as the test results got to her, she could now tell the reason for the gaps. She had just found out, with a secret committee and her mom present, that she was not Parker Bowles's daughter, but King Charles's. Insiders claimed that she collapsed on her knees as she read it. There was a chance that she had been living a lie. Should the test result be true, what implications could it have on the structure of the royal family? The endgame. Following the presence of this DNA test result, the atmosphere in Buckingham shifted. The clouds were pregnant with shame, and Camilla could tell it was about to rain. But what exactly happens if everyone else finds out about these test results? Could one little event reshape the entire structure of the crown? In the old days, the rules of primogeniture and male preference were still a thing until the succession to the Crown Act of 2013, which made provision for the firstborn child of a king, regardless of their sex, to be the heir apparent. Hence, if the test results were confirmed, there was a strong possibility of an argument that would help Camilla's daughter snatch the throne from the current heir apparent, Prince William. Camilla was finally in the game. Will she win? She had successfully taken the throne from Diana, following her divorce and unfortunate death in 1997, and now, at 78 years old, she had just been presented with an opportunity to pass the rights of the throne to her daughter and the king's first child. Although the recent development presents her with an opportunity for continuity in her bloodlines on the throne, there is an opposite side to the coin. Her whole reputation could finally collapse, creating a sense of deception around the crown and starting an uprising in the palace and beyond, with top brass officials in the British royal court who still remain bitter toward Camilla and King Charles for their treatment of the people's princess, while also blaming them for her unfortunate demise. Finally, the endgame has come, with the Queen Consort Camilla and Princess Anne on opposite sides, and the loyalty of the king to his wife or his sister is intensely tested. The House of Windsor has always been a legacy built around perception and family. Hence, with Prince William being recognized as the heir to the throne, does he keep his place even if it means that they flout the provisions of the 2013 Succession to the Crown Act? Or will Buckingham Palace be welcoming a new heir apparent in Laura Lopes? According to palace insiders, The DNA test results are currently being reviewed, but whether they tell the world what they find regardless of the results or simply keep it all under wraps, only time will tell. If proven true, do you think the DNA test result changes the royal family for life? Is there a chance that Laura Lopes is just a victim of Princess Anne and Queen Camilla's silent feud? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.